Morning, chaps. How's it going? Oh, hang on, it's still a bit quiet, isn't it? Hopefully that's better. All right, Brooke, how you doing? Volume all right there? Yeah, that should be sorted now, right? Morning. All right, everyone, how you doing? It's still only early, you're 5 to 9. I've normally do my BBC News roundup on a Sunday. Burnley. I like Burnley. I like Burnley because it's the only football team Middlesbrough can fucking manage to beat. More shite. I'm doing this because I normally do my BBC roundup on a Sunday morning. But I got it done last night because I had nothing on. So thought I'd just do a live stream and talk some shit about the morning's news. Robert, that's all right now, isn't it? Unless you're deaf. I noticed... oh, yeah, one thing I did want to mention, which has got nothing to do with news, because, you know, things get a bit heavy if you're just constantly talking politics all the time, don't they? Yeah, thanks for that, Brooke. Cheers. Still low. Some of you cunts are deaf, I'm telling you. All right, you can have another 5. There you go. It can get a bit heavy if I just do news and current affairs all the time. So I want to get some opinions on this. It's let's have a look. On my Facebook today. I've got a serious problem, right? I'm a massive snob about breakfasts because obviously that's the only thing we're good at cooking, right? The famous phrase, I don't know who the critic was that said it. It was one of the famous ones, Gill or one of these guys who died. And he said that if you want to eat well when you're in England, you should just eat breakfast 3 times a day. And I think that's a really astute observation. Obviously our food's got much better over the years, but breakfast's still definitely the best meal of the day, isn't it? Like, first of all, anyone want to disagree with that? Like, breakfast's the best, isn't it? Best meal. It's class in England. It's class in the United States. Like, Mexican breakfast, mint. American breakfast, good. You know, you get the full shebang. Loads of meat, eggs. You know, I love eggs. Waffles. Fucking everything's good. Breakfast, the best meal, as far as I'm concerned. Possibly up there with the Sunday dinner, right? Sunday dinner's good. But breakfast the best. Porridge, if you're a Scotsman, you can't even... Can you even say the old politically incorrect term for a Scotsman? In the military, you jokingly call them porridge wogs. Probably can't say that anymore. You know, although you know what is weird about that? My old fella still uses the term, and he said there's nothing offensive about it because it's an acronym, and it means Western Oriental Gentleman. And he told me in the old days, you know, in the 50s and the 60s, if you had like a really well-integrated, sort of well-spoken fella who was obviously Indian or African or what have you, people would call him a wog because it was almost like a compliment. Like, look how well he's fit in, was to call him a Western Oriental gentleman. And I don't see why that doesn't sound bad at all, does it? But maybe it's a myth. Maybe it means something fucking awful. I only eat once a day. Fucking hell. Oh yeah, so that's like intermittent fasting then. I have read about that. There's quite a lot of people swear by only having like 4-hour intervals between your meals and that. But yeah, breakfast's my favourite meal. And I can't find a picture now, but someone shared a picture of a breakfast. And I was like, that looks gash. Like, it just looked shit. And it's because I don't like a breakfast when they put when they separate everything with little pots. You know, when you get an English breakfast and you have like the beans are in a little pot, a little ceramic dish, and then the fucking tomatoes are in a little ceramic dish. And I just think, that's gash. Like, I don't want to eat that. Anyway, the screen's a bit big, isn't it? How's that? Bring it over a bit. There we go. Yeah, westernized Oriental gentleman. All right, it's more or less the same. But the point is, not offensive, is it? It's hardly a slur. You don't like beans with your egg yolk? Yeah. I like food to be wet. I think it tastes better if it's damp. Like, you know, like a cake shite if it's dry. It wants to be a bit damp, doesn't it? Moist. I think generally food's good when it's damp. Like fish and chips with loads of fat on and a shit ton of vinegar, nice and damp. I think food's just better if it's moist. But maybe I'm just a bit of a dirty bastard. Sunday dinner, I like about half a pint of gravy on the fucker. Well, I can't find that. Facebook's weird, isn't it? Like, something appears on your feed and then you go and have a look at something else and 5 minutes later it's just endless shit. Like, it must update too quickly these days because there's that much shit on there. Have you noticed they're always trying to sell you stuff as well on Facebook now? Never used to be that way. Alright, RP, how you doing? Fish? One-sided adult seesaw. I didn't see that. Have you noticed they're always trying to sell you stuff on Facebook now? That never used to be the case, did it? Like back in the day, Facebook was just your mates. And now, whenever you fucking... Apparently a lot of people hate that word, Ragnar. I don't know why. It's been voted one of the words that makes people sort of cringe if you keep saying moist. Don't know why. Bit weird. How's the States treating me? It's alright, it's not too bad. Again though, I hate soft pansy bastards, and I just feel like no matter how bad it's got, or how bad it is, or how shit your life is, I'll never say it's fucking awful. You know, like if you're out walking and you meet someone who you haven't seen for a while, like, you know, when I go back to the borough to see my mates, I'll be walking down the street, some bloke will bump into me and I'll be like, alright mate, how are you doing? And when you say to someone back home, how are you doing? It's not really a question, is it? When you say, how are you doing? It's basically a greeting like, hi. You're not actually asking them. Because I hate it when you say, how are you doing? And they're like, oh, fucking hell, my wife's just left me. I'm like, I didn't really want to know. It's not a question. I don't really care that much how you're doing. I mean, maybe if you're one of my best mates, like someone, you know, the sort of top 10 people that you could put on your two hands who you genuinely care about and like to hang around with, but you're not really asking them how they're doing when you say how are you doing, are you? It's just like hello. So yeah, no matter how shit your life is, don't start whinging about it to people. I'm a big believer in stoicism. I think if things are going gash, sort your life out. Like, sort your life out. I don't want to sound like a horrible cunt, but I just feel as if my old fella was always like that when I was a lad, and it does you good to man up and face your problems down. And it's mental health weekend apparently, so maybe I should be a bit more serious about it. But I think I'd always counsel people that, you know, you're stronger than you know you are, and what you should do is look inward and think, how can I fix my problems, instead of relying on people to fix them for you. Obviously, you shouldn't bottle everything up, because I read a statistic that apparently blokes who've got sisters live a lot longer. There's a fucking ant on my bastard screen. That's another little thing, annoying thing about California. There's bastard ants everywhere. If you've got problems, you should talk about them, because I read a statistic that blokes who've got a sister live like, they're like twice, they're less likely to commit suicide because they talk through the problems with the sisters. Because men, we struggle with, you know, telling people we've got an issue. And I definitely do. Like, I could have the worst problems ever. But if I walk past a bloke in the street and he says, "How you doing, mate?" I'll go, "All right, I'm sound, yeah, see you later." Like, that's just the way I deal with it. So, yeah, you should talk about your problems, but with a close friend, right? Again, like in all things, I'm doing the happy medium. What, baboons? They did a study on baboons with manic depression. Is that right? Is that right? Unless you responded to something else. I don't know. But, yeah, apparently, I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about your problems, but at least pick someone who you should be talking about that with. So if you've got a real life crisis and you're having a bit of a bad time, I'm not telling you to bottle it up and not talk to anyone. Stephen, how you doing? But talk to someone reliable who you know really well, and it's going to mean something. Like your best mate. Sit down with your best mate and say, "All right, yeah, I've got an issue, mate," and sit and talk it through with him. I'm not telling you should be a man of iron like me, yeah? I'm not saying straddle the battlefield like a mighty colossus because you've got balls like coconuts like me. I'm saying if you've got a problem, at least talk it through with someone who's important to you, genuinely, like your dad or your brother or your best mate. No shame in that. A man needs to know, no man is an island. But don't fucking tell me when I'm walking the dog and I haven't seen you for 4 years because we just went to school together. And I go, "All right, mate, how you doing?" Don't be like, "Fucking hell, my wife left me. Oh, my God, I found a lump on my balls in the shower this morning." I don't want to fucking know. That is an Oxbridge pleasantry, that. How you doing? Don't fucking tell me. I'm just saying hello. So, there's one thing I want to talk about. Breakfasts, we've discussed. Don't put everything in a fucking little ceramic pot. Christ, you're not a Frenchman. You're British. Pile it all on a plate and fucking eat it. Jesus. And then what else was I going to discuss? Oh, yeah. We got a problem. He shared this here. That a killer. I made a video about it. If you want to watch it, find it on my channel. In fact, I'll put a link in the chat. Let's have a look. Because, yeah, I'll cover the whole thing for you. There we are. Sargon smashes a killer. Not in that way, you filthy bastards. But seriously, she just took the piss in the most outrageous. Yeah, tip your beans all over. Fucking right. I'm a big believer in messy scranning. There's the chat. There you go. Here's a link. Watch that if you want to know the crack. But the short version is, this necky bastard just slurred him, lied about him, took the fucking piss. Baboon and Geordie's close relatives. This is known. Oh, she's got no chance of winning. It was frivolous from the beginning. She did it for publicity. She really is despicable at the end of the day. Like, seriously, I'm not a judgmental person. I don't judge people by what they say. Anyone can say something stupid. If she'd have just said it for a bit of advertising, I'd have been like, yeah, well, she's just blowing her own trumpet. She might not be a total scumbag, but she's lost her appeal again and again. She's been told she has to pay the man because she smeared him. And what does she do? Sets up a fundraiser to pay the guy. And yeah, she smashed the target. So fair play to him. He should spend the money on his own company, try and build his business that he's doing, his own like media network. Fair play to him. He should spend that. And, he doesn't have to donate it to charity because everyone's too moral on the right of politics. They're all like, if he goes like, "Oh, I'll give that to a charity," it's like, no. Because they all take the piss, don't they? Oxfam. If you give 40 grand to Oxfam, that's going to get spent on the CEO sniffing coke off a hooker's tits. Like, you're not doing anyone any favours by giving it away. Keep it. You earned it. It must be stressful getting sued. I can imagine that's a nightmare. So keep it. Push your business. Because every penny of that's coming from communists that support the killer yous. If you know the ins and outs and did 5 minutes research on that story, you know for a fact that she's a liar. She's a cheat. She's a fraud. And you're just giving her money. So there's only two outcomes of that, isn't there? You've either not done your homework and you're a bit of an idiot at which point you deserve to get robbed anyway, right? Because I am a Darwinist. If you're a complete moron, sorry, look to yourselves. That's your business. And if that's not the case, well, then you're just a communist and you think any and all tactics are acceptable to crush your political enemies, including stressing them out and using the legal system to crush people like some sort of fucking dictator. So, fuck them. Spend the money, push your business, keep it for yourself. He earned that as far as I'm concerned. That's terrible. See, I got that one because I'm actually reading. Paul from the Chuckle Brothers. Oi, 2 meter, you. Didn't, which one snuffed it? Was it the little fucker or the big fucker? I know one of them snuffed it recently. So that's all I have to say about that. I thought that was shocking. Like, watch my video if you want to know the crack. But she's just a liar. Like, she totally made shit up about him. Frivolous lawsuit. Sued him for no reason. Oh, it was Barry who kicked the bucket there. Yeah, I used to watch that when I was in school. It wasn't particularly funny, though. Like, I didn't think it was funny when I was 12. I don't think they were the visionaries of the genre. But yeah, you know, he seemed a nice enough fella. And he was a Yorkshireman, right? So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. A killer. Just watch the video. It's shocking. Like, she's just a total scumbag. And it really does disgust me that you can keep calling someone a white supremacist when there is no evidence for it. Like, I'm sure everyone who watches my videos is aware of, at least aware of, possibly watches Sargon stuff, because he's alright. Like I've said before, he's not funny. I think he laughs at his jokes too much, Sargon, because he's not that funny, is he? He is clever, he's got a really good grasp of the issues, and he's got common sense. So I love his stuff, and I watch it all. And I think in the 100 hours of content I've seen of him, he's never once done or said anything that you could call white supremacist. So it's really, really despicable that people do this and can get away with it. Like, because it's a mega slur to be called a white supremacist in this day and age. It is akin to, like, you're going to be shunned by everyone. Yeah, but it's lost all meaning because of people like her, hasn't it? Because of fucking idiots like her throwing it at people they don't like as an excuse to... It's basically reputation destruction, right? You shouldn't be able to get away with it. Like, if you accuse someone of rape and they didn't do anything, and it comes to light that you made the whole thing up because you're an absolute shitbag and you don't care about destroying people's reputations, there's a price to pay for it. Like, you'll be... they just jailed some big fat bird, didn't they, who told about... Like, it was funny that she accused something like 12 guys of raping her. Like, whenever she had an argument or a disagreement with a man ever, she told the authorities, "Oh, he raped me him," and she basically dragged all these blokes through court, even though she had a fucking head like a melted welly and an arse like the back end of a bus, and it seems to beggar all belief that anyone would want to rape the fucking creature that was the behemoth that was making the accusations. She was doing it all the time, and when she got discovered for doing it, she got jailed. I think she just got like 6 years in jail. But when you're black, or you don't even have to be black, do you? When you're white, or in fact, let's just forget about skin colour. When you are politically left wing and you want to crush someone's reputation, like say Owen Jones doing it to Nigel Farage, you just go racist, white supremacist, and their reputation's in tatters. And it's not fair and it's not right. And moderate, reasonable people on the left should call it out and say that's not fair. But they never do, because they've got no integrity at all. Back in the crew room. Not really, I'm on my own. It's not quite as good when everyone's communicating via text message. What we could try and do is a big Zoom meeting. I think Zoom, you can have about 20 people in there, can't you? I'll have to try and orchestrate a massive Zoom meeting. I think in these cold secular times when everyone's trapped in their house by themselves, it might be quite a good crack as well. Like, a bit like going to the pub, but not quite there, obviously. I just think it's despicable, but you can see they've got no fucking integrity whatsoever, because I think I'd do that. If I was having a chat with a lefty, like Owen Jones or something, and someone started slurring him, saying he was like something that he isn't, a turf, I'll be like, he's not a turf. Like, I know him. I've listened to loads of his stuff. He's not a turf. He's many things that I hate and disagree with, but he's not one of them. But they never do that. Even people on the BBC, like, or Channel 4, like, or Sky News, like mainstream groups, who you would think would at least be honest about things, they never ever correct anyone, do they? They never say, Nigel Farage isn't a fucking white supremacist. They just let it slide. Tommy Robinson's treatment on Question Time, some of the footage, that one where the woman's looking at him like, ugh, like he's scum. It's like the man's, you watch his Oxford Union speech, and he clearly doesn't deserve the slurs he's got. He's had a hard life, and he's had problems in his life, and he's had families being victims of abuse and stuff, and they don't have any sympathy for him at all. There's no understanding. And again, I'm not being politically partisan. Like, I try to be understanding for other people on the left if they've had a rough time of things, but they just hate him. They hate him. They slur him. They just despise him, and it's like they don't care what's happening. They don't care if you've been a rape victim. They don't care if you've been assaulted. They don't care if you've been abused by the state. They just think any and all tactics are fair, and it is. The left are awful at this point. I don't know how they claim the moral high ground when they're just so despicable, so willing to lie. Oh yeah, the Darren Grimes smear campaign. Brooke, I did make a video about that, and I happily talked about it. Not only is it obscene and absurd, utterly absurd for the Met Police to be looking into the guy. I mean, that is, again, it's punishing people for thought crimes. Even if David Starkey made racist comments, which he didn't, he was clearly just using it as a term of exasperation. Damn. It's damn. If he hadn't put that one four-letter word in, they had nothing on him. That shows how he wasn't saying anything. If he said an entire sentence like, I think we should deport all of them, that would be something you could say, yeah, he's pretty racist. But he didn't. He didn't do anything. He just said a fact and put the word damn in it, and then went, oh, therefore he's fucking evil. Like, so first of all, that wasn't even racist. Any fairly impartial, normal human with a fully functioning brain can see that. But the idea you can do the interviewer for it is insanity, right? And that's not just my opinion, that's a demonstrable fact, because we've had interviewers interview controversial people all the time. That's like saying any BBC or Sky journalist who's ever interviewed someone who's very right-wing can be prosecuted, right? I'm sure some of them have interviewed, fucking hell. It's like when they talked about Tulsi Gabbard, who I like, because she went and met Assad. Like, your job when you're a politician is to avoid war. Kennedy met Khrushchev, if nobody knows that. Kennedy went and sat across the table from Khrushchev, but they didn't say, oh, therefore Kennedy's fucking Stalin, because he just met the guy. The interviewer can meet anyone. We've had loads of interviewers interview Nick Griffin. BBC interviewers interview Nick Griffin. They don't then go and send the police round to the interviewee, right? That's not my opinion. That's a demonstrable fact. Find out who the BBC interviewer was who interviewed Nick Griffin, and then say, right, you interviewed Nick Griffin. Nick Griffin's racist. You have to go to jail. That is what they've done. And David Starkey wasn't even saying anything racist, and he isn't a racist. And they want to prosecute Darren Grimes for interviewing him. It's insanity. Fucking mental. I'll find that one for you as well. Starkey. There's a video I made about Starkey. I'll share that one. Watch that. I was in there as soon as that happened, and I was like, he didn't do anything wrong. There's the link. David Starkey didn't do anything. He literally just, because he was exasperated. You could see he was exasperated, and he goes, of course it wasn't genocide because they were worth money. Again, all verifiable 100% facts. He said people were a commodity. People were worth a lot of money. You don't destroy money. It wasn't genocide. It was trading commodities. And of course that's the case, because if it wasn't, there wouldn't be so damn many. And because he put the word damn in there, because he was exasperated, because people make up total lies, they were like, oh, therefore you're a fucking Nazi. And not only should you be cancelled, Darren Grimes should have a police investigation against him. It's crazy. Crazy. that people like me have to talk about this. Why isn't everybody on Sky News? Why isn't everybody on like Channel 4 News, BBC News? Everyone should be out there today saying prosecuting an interviewer for interviewing someone you don't like is the definition of insanity. It's mental. Find out who interviewed Augusto Pinochet back in the fucking 80s. All right? Find out who interviewed Pinochet, who works for the BBC, and say, all right, prosecute him. Prosecute him. Find out who interviewed Kim Jong and say, prosecute him. I don't understand how I even have to say it. It's so ridiculous. You might as well be telling me the sky is fucking green and the grass is blue. It boggles my mind that this is a thing in England. And it just goes to show how bad the problem is. We've got a rabidly partisan police force. Yeah, Louis Theroux, oh, he's interviewed white supremacists. Get him nicked. Why is the Met not interviewing Louis Theroux? Well, we know why. Because the Met is partisan. The Met is ideologically far left. And the Met don't enforce the law equally. These things aren't just minor problems. These things are institutional attacks on the fabric of the country. The Met should enforce the law equally for all. I'm not making a political statement there. The Met should enforce the law equally for all. I don't care whether you're far right, far left, centrist. You break any of the laws that are in statute, you get investigated. But investigating Darren Grimes for a non-crime and not investigating Louis Theroux when he interviews white supremacists is proof that we are being attacked by aggressively partisan institutions that these people take a vow not to be partisan. You know, civil servants take a vow you're supposed to apply the law equally for all, and they aren't doing it. And that makes me think it's time to get, I don't know what we need, maybe the military. When you've got journalists getting prosecuted for talking to people, but only if they're on one side of the political spectrum, then you're talking about, well, we need something to major change, like Oliver fucking Cromwell style. Like, we need a coup. We need the fucking Commandant General of the Royal Marines to go, you know what, lads? If the Metropolitan Police is prosecuting people depending for wrongthink, if they don't like their politics, we don't live in a free country anymore. We really don't. Again, not just my opinion, demonstrable fact. They only prosecute people from one political aisle. The guy who pissed up against, he didn't even piss up against it. He just had a piss near the fucking, the plaque. And he gets arrested and jailed for like a month. And then you get like a Muslim black woman who stabs someone in the eye and she gets let off with a fucking fine. We've got a partisan police force. We've got a partisan police force, a partisan court, partisan Supreme Court. They did win. They started the long march through the institutions under like Blair, and they've won. We've got police, judges, courts, media, mass media, the government, the civil service, every aspect, all of the pillars of our society and our state have become partisan mobs that only prosecute, only push one side of the aisle up against the wall. So you tell me what you do about that. I think it's a lot worse than the average, the normies who don't really have a keen interest in politics like I do, and obviously like people who follow me do. The normies don't realise how bad it is. I don't think. I think normal people who just go through life, occasionally flick the TV onto the BBC and then go back to watching the football, I don't think they realise how bad it is, because when you've got policemen going to arrest, threatening to arrest people like Darren Grimes for that non-crime, you really are living in a police state at that point. He didn't do anything. So, yeah, I think that's fucking shocking. Anyway, I'll do a few more questions while I'm on. If anyone's got any, fucking throw them at me. That sent me on a lengthy tirade about the state of everything. So look if there's anything good on Twitter. Oh yeah, there's a tweet I made. That is true, isn't it? Isn't it weird? When they talk about genocide, have you noticed how they're always talking about the Germans, always, like the Nazis, but they never talk about the Japanese? Have you noticed that weird little quirk? Like, and if you read about, I read a book about the railway. It was the way the Japanese treated the prisoners of war was even worse than the Nazis. Like, if you look up the statistics, there's really good statistics about it. It's the percentage chance of you surviving incarceration as a prisoner of war during the Second World War. And they broke it down by nationality. And it was like, if you got taken as a POW in the World War II and you were held by the British, there was a 99.89% chance you'd survive your captivity. And then if you got taken by the Americans, it was slightly lower, because I am biased, but the British just seem a little bit better at that. Like, they're not quite as... Maybe it's because they haven't got all that sort of gung-ho, let's get them. They have a slightly more reserved look on things, don't they, in a war. So the Americans, it was like 98.97% chance you'd survive your captivity. And the Germans weren't that bad. It was like 80% chance you'd survive your captivity. The Japanese, it was like 40%. Like, they treated people like animals. Like, really, really bad. And that's why there's such bad feeling out there today. Like, a lot of them, the Chinese, a lot of the neighbours, never forgot the Second World War, because the Japanese were, like, really, really fucking evil. Like, evil. And nobody talks about that anymore. Never. They just constantly go, the fucking Nazis, the Germans. It's like, I wonder why. I wonder why we've just sort of give the Japanese a pass. Japan's still homogenous and 99% Japanese. We never talk about it. I wonder why. Well, we know why. Let's just say we know why. I just find it fascinating. As a law-abiding Scotsman, I'm calling you a liar. Liar about what, Paul? Clear that up for me. I don't know what you're telling me I'm a lying bastard about. Amber Turd. She definitely needs talking to. What do you take on the Nigerian embassy? I haven't read that. Nigerian embassy protests in London. Let's have a look, because I don't know. Oh. Well, it's a fiction, isn't it? It's a fiction. Stop killing Nigerians. Oh, in Nigeria. Fucking hell, alright. Fair enough. I thought you were on about... Again, I thought you were on about the statistics, because, again, I'm a numbers guy and I know the stats. And that's why I keep... I'm not ideologically right-wing. I'm a centrist and I'm socially liberal. But the reason I keep defending right-wingers is because people just lie. And I'm forced by the logic gland in my brain to follow the facts and the evidence. And if the numbers refute what you're telling me, I have to tell you. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just like facts. And the facts are you're less likely to die in police custody in England if you're black. They've checked the numbers. It was on the BBC. You're more likely to die in police custody in England if you're white. So I thought that was what they were protesting about. If that's not the case, and it's police brutality in Nigeria, well, what's that got to do with us? Nigerians in UK and Canada expressing anger over it, vowing to march in solidarity at Nigerian embassies. Yeah, all right. Well, all I would say is, what do you expect? They don't believe their own bullshit, do they? Because they know how lucky they are to live in England. This is what I keep saying. The left don't believe the things they're telling you. They don't. They're cunning. They're not stupid people. Owen Jones is articulate. You listen to him talk. He's as clever as me, isn't he? He's not an idiot. So he doesn't believe what he's saying. Afua Hirsch doesn't believe what she's saying. Laurie Penny doesn't believe what she's saying. None of these people, Kathy fucking Newman, doesn't believe what she's saying. She knows it's bollocks. They say it because they're cunning and they're trying to win an ideological war, but they don't believe any of it. And it's the same here. These people know. John Boyega and Lewis Hamilton and everybody else know that they're on a good one. They love Britain. They do. Because they know how lucky they are to be there. They know how tolerant and nice and civilised the country is. They love the people of Britain. They love the working class people that are so nice to them all the time. Raheem Sterling, everywhere that useless cunt goes, he gets praise. He knows the general public aren't racist. He knows it's a great country to live in. They know it. Just because they go on TV and say, oh, Britain's for... They don't believe a word of it because the numbers prove them wrong. So that's what I think about that. They know they're on a good number. That's why they're fucking protesting about Nigeria. Why do you think they keep coming over? Every week everyone's trying to get into England. Why do you think that is? They go, oh, England's shit, let me in. It doesn't even need a response, does it? SLRs were better because there were a people stopper, but the fact is, you don't need a 7.62 round, do you? You don't have to kill them outright. There is the argument is right. The 5.56 is less likely to kill you, so they need to take medics, and it'll demoralise their oppos because they're screaming, and yeah, it's going to take manpower away from the front when they're administering the men. There's a lot of reasons why 5.56 is a preferable round because it doesn't kill you right out. 7.62 is just bump dead. Yeah, you don't need a 7.62, do you? I don't think you do. I've argued this with gun nuts in America. If you want to talk about guns, I had when I was in Bammy, I bought an AR-15. Since I moved out here, I haven't. I've just got a handgun. I've got a small Ruger because I want to carry it. But you want as much ammo as possible, is my professional opinion. And you get Americans like my mate Vaden laughing because he's got like a 45 and he's like, you want a big fucking round. And I'm like, you don't. You want as many rounds as possible. Because in real life, most people, I'm a fucking good shot and I've been trained, but most people haven't. So in real life, if you're lying in bed and the door smashes in and a load of fucking Lewis Hamill, yeah, Stevenage, rough as fuck. Go to Middlesbrough, we'd fucking eat him. He'd take one look around Middlesbrough and he'd go, yeah, how do these people live? Yeah, you want something small, plenty of fucking ammo in the chamber, in the magazine. That's what you need. Yeah, you need, because you're going to be panicking, your hands are going to be sweating. Yeah, you're going to be going, ugh. You're not going to be calm, cool as a cucumber, especially if you've never been in a war before. You're not going to be calm and cool as a cucumber, casually dispatching your foes. You're going to go, fucking hell, you can't. So you want 9mm, 21 rounds in the magazine. Yeah, a nice Glock, something like that. Yeah, fuck, you don't want a 45 with 7 rounds in the mag. You want as much lead downrange as possible. That's what I think. So yeah, I'm not bothered about 7.62. I know that the S80 is all right though. I was at 42 Commando when the S80 was modified by HK, right? So this is some good gen information for you, Davey. This was about 2003, I think, because I joined up in '99, and I was in the TA in '96 for a few years. So I used that piece of shit S80 for years. When HK got their hands on it, they came back, and there's a special team in the Royal Marines made up of like colour sergeants and sergeant majors who all they do is weapons test, and they're the guys who put everything through the ringer and then tell the Sea Lord, this is what we're going to be buying, this is what we want to use. They're the guys who chose the Glock for our new firearm. We've just got rid of the Browning high power, and we use the Glock now because they tested the shit out of 40 different handguns and they said that's the best one. And when the S80 went away to get tested by these guys, they came and gave us a presentation in the conference room at 42 Commando. And what they do is they fire them all in all these different environments, and they do fail to fire. And when they mark it down as a fail to fire is when they've had 3 stoppages in a row. Not in a row as in constantly, but when they've had 3 stoppages. So they keep on rattling ammo through it until they have 3 stoppages. And they fired these new modified S80s alongside dozens of different rifles in jungles, Arctic. They flew up to Tromsø in northern Norway. They went to the desert in like Dubai or Oman or wherever the fuck it was. They just shot the shit out of them. And they came back and they showed me all these graphs. Yeah, the forward assist, them were the days. Showed us all these graphs. And the S80 was one of the best. It was top 3. It was 7,000 rounds before fail to fire in the Arctic, 4,000 rounds in Oman before fail to fire. So that's 3 stoppages. And then like 10,000 in a temperate environment. It's a decent weapon now. Now it's had the shit modified out of it. It's a decent weapon. Also, I'll tell you some more hint. It's the crescent-shaped firing pin, right? Not firing pin, cocking handle. Because a lot of the old stoppages, they found something like 35% of them were caused by the shape of the cocking handle. And I can verify that myself because when I was in Afghanistan the first time before they'd modified them, I remember once firing my weapon and then I got a stoppage and I cocked it to look at it, and the round, the casing, the spent brass, was caught in between the cocking handle and the chamber, like just jutting out of there where it had got caught because it's moving backwards and forwards. And they found that shaping the cocking handle in a crescent shape instead of having it like a cylindrical shape stopped 35% of the stoppages, just that one change. So massively squaring the magazines away. You might remember if you've ever used one, the magazines used to be cheap plastic shite with a little spring in. Now the magazine's mega sturdy and the whole magazine tray moves up and down as a one. Like if you just put your pinky finger on the one end and press it down, the whole chamber moves. So they squared the magazines away, they squared a lot of the springs away, they squared the shape of they swapped the cylindrical cocking handle for a crescent-shaped cocking handle. They did loads of things to it, and the S80 now is a decent weapon. So that's that. If you want to ask me about guns, there's my opinion. S80's alright, and if you're going to buy a handgun, get a nice fat magazine rather than a nice fat round, is what I'd say. What else? A Glock's not £6,000, surely. How can it be when they have a retail price? Surely a Glock is whatever it costs, and then you have to pay, I don't know, a lot of money for licensing and whatever paperwork they demand from you. But the Glock itself's not going to cost you £6,000, is it? Surely. What else have I got? Oh yeah, like the video, you tight bastards. Apparently, if you like it, it pushes it around to a lot more people. So press that fucking thing down there with the thumb on. Okay, right. Talking about black market. Fucking hell. I wondered what you're on about there. So is that right? Can you not, ever since like Dunblane or whatever the fuck it was, can you not have a handgun at all in the UK? Like even if you apply for a training and get a license and all that shit, you just can't have one at all legally. No, I guess not. Black market only. Fucking hell. Oh yeah, and they pulled over that little twat in Middlesbrough with a Glock. So that was a mad fucking thing, wasn't it? If you look at like last live stream I did about a week ago, he had a Glock. Little bastard, a drug dealer in Middlesbrough. Fucking Glock on him, like a Glock 22, I think it was. I was like, holy shit. Instant 5 years if you get caught with a fucking handgun in England. What else did I want to talk about? I've done David Starkey. I've done that fucking communist. I hope Sargon enjoys spending his money. I've done the weird obsession with the Nazis while ignoring the worst murderous, torturous excesses of the Japanese. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about today. I just thought I'd have a quick natter. So yeah, there we go. And we talked about guns for a bit. Yeah, RP, you'll have to watch it back. I've talked about it for a bit. The whole reason we changed it was because 762, boom, kill you outright. 556, wham, injure you. And then the thought is, you screaming your ass off will demoralise everybody. You screaming your ass off will require a few medics to treat you and carry you off the battlefield. You screaming your ass off will fucking seriously affect the morale and the tactical endeavours of your chums. There's loads of reasons why apparently that it makes more sense to have 556 rather than 762, which will just kill you outright. Oh yeah, the other good reason would be ammunition. When I was in Afghanistan, we got issued 12 magazines because you'd have some lengthy firefights. When we were doing advanced to contact patrols, you'd be putting brass down range at the fucking Taliban for like an hour. So we used to get issued 12 magazines, and 12 magazines bombed up with 30 rounds in each weighs a fucking lot. You're doubling across open ground whilst getting shot at, and you've got 12 magazines in your webbing bouncing around. It's hard graft, and your body armour, and your ECM and all that. So 556, it's a big weight difference carrying 12 magazines of 556 versus 12 magazines of 762. I don't even know off the top of my head what the weight difference is going to be, but it's going to be a fucking big one. So yeah, 5.56 better. For example, as well, you can get 200 rounds in a box under a mini-me machine gun. I don't know how much heavier and harder it'd be to get 200 rounds of 7.62 in one of them PKM, whatever they are. Yeah, it's a big issue. All that extra lead. Although it's not actually lead, is it? So there's a lot of reasons why a smaller round's better, and that's what I was saying about if you're going to buy a handgun, like me, I've got a nice small one. You know, you don't want big 50. Everyone's like, Desert Eagle, 50 cal. Well, fuck that, you don't need to blow a golf ball sized hole in them. A nice little small 9mm round will bounce around the rib cage just fine. So yeah, you don't. That's American Yahoos telling you need 50 cal. You don't. Something very small travelling at 900 feet per second, putting a fucking hole in you, will drop you quickly. You don't need to worry about it. Do you feel lucky, punk? Yeah, that is. I wish our coppers would take a leaf out of his book when they're dealing with BLM protesters and taking a fucking knee. So yeah, all right, I'll call it there then, boys. I haven't got any more questions, and I've talked shit for long enough. Only way you bury it. No, that is a myth, that. They tell you when you're a young nod and you're trying to win your Green Beret that it makes you bulletproof. I've since found, after watching people get shot, it's not actually true. So we prefer to wear a helmet when we're when we're out on the ground. But right, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Brooke, cheers, mate. Happy to answer any shitty questions about guns that you losers are allowed to have. Yeah, I'm glad I've got mine. I'm fucking concerned I'll need it. Needless to say, I was praying that some fucking wacky protesters would turn up at my house, but sadly they didn't, because they'd get a fucking shock. Right, I'll see you around, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take it easy.